We all know walking away from a relationship and moving on from a painful breakup is really difficult. And I want to break down for you the biology behind why it is actually so difficult for us and give you the key that you need to implement, be aware of, and implement to actually effectively move on. Because I believe the more informed you are about all the elements and components as to why it's hard for us to do things, not just from a emotional or psychological space, but from a biological space as well, it'll really empower you to be able to work through your challenging moments and in time periods like walking away from a relationship that you were heavily connected to much more effectively. See, we often can talk about people struggling a lot to move on from that breakup or get over it, right? And especially whenever we maybe have a close friend or someone that we know or family member that we see go through a really bad breakup, but we know they were with a person that was really not good for them, right? It wasn't a healthy situation, and we're kind of like relieved and happy for them, right? But we don't understand why they're so stuck and why they're so heartbroken. It's like this person was horrible to you and so forth. And sometimes people can be frustrated with someone like that or not be as empathetic to what they're going through. Or if you're the one that's been mistreated and you're going through this breakup and it's really painful for you and you're asking yourself like, I'm so saying things to yourself like, I'm so stupid, that's so crazy, I can't believe this is ridiculous, I'm kicking myself for being so upset and hurt whenever they were a jerk to me anyways, or the way they went about this was messed up anyways, like I hate that I care kind of a thing, right? And we say these type of things because we're not giving ourselves grace and being fair to all the dynamics going into why you're so attached to this person. It's not just because you mentally told yourself you're going to be attached to them and now it's just that. No, everything is a system and all works together. So the moment you tell yourself you're going to believe in something or you're going to adopt something, such as saying that you're choosing to love someone at some point, right? And saying that you care about them and that you want to be connected to them, then your body starts to do what it needs to do to help you execute the plan, right? So then you start getting your biology involved. And that's when we get into your attachment and neurochemistry, right? See, it's not just that you go one day and you say, hey, I really like this person. They're amazing. And I'm going to just choose to love them and I'm going to choose to be with them. And then if things go bad, then it's not as simple as saying, oh, now I choose to not love them. I'm just going to let this go and just walk away, right? It's not that easy. Obviously, we know that from an emotional standpoint. But once you get your body convicted and convinced and into the equation with your mind and your emotions, right? Then now those feel-good chemicals that we possess, oxytocin, the love hormone, and then dopamine, the reward hormone, right? They start ramping up in you. They start getting elevated and heightened to accommodate this new belief that you have that, hey, this is your person. And so it's not as simple as if that ever changes, you could just say, no, and then just walk away from that, right? No, you're putting your body into the proper chemistry it needs to be in order to bond to this person. Because oxytocin, that love hormone, is a bonding agent, right? So it's the thing that makes you want to attach. And then the dopamine, the reward hormone, right? That fires off to convince you to do more of what you were doing before to keep on getting that reward hit, right? That sense of excitement, that, gratification, right? That stimulant. And so now you're literally setting an ecosystem inside of yourself that is heavily focused around the attachment to this person, this individual. Now let's get into the neurochemistry part of it, right? What people don't really grasp sometimes is that whenever those oxytocin and dopamine, chemicals are firing off and they're ramped up and those levels are high and they're there consistently for a good bit of time, your brain starts creating neural pathways from one experience, one moment, one act, one thing to the next, to where it can find a route or develop a route path to maintain these feelings that you're having. So because it becomes something that feels really good to you, right? That dopamine and that oxytocin, you feel euphoric. It feels amazing. So your body tries to find, okay, let me lock in all of the elements that created this. And so we can go to the root faster so you can keep feeling this way because this feels good. And if it feels good, it's a good chance it means we're going to survive better, or it means it's good for us because it feels great. So now all these neural pathways start being connected so your mind and body can get you back to the same feelings faster, right? It's creating almost like shortcut hacks. See, it's like when you're building tunnels or something, right? When they're out there doing construction, it's a long process because they're digging out new, ground, and they're laying new piping to go and make the connection to the next piece. And it's a process. But once it's been done, it's a fast track way to get from point A to point B now, right? That's the way your brain operates. It does a great job of remembering things that are great for you and creating faster ways and pathways to get there through thought and emotion and so forth. And so stored in that is memory cells, memories of the reason why you felt that way in the first place, why you had that spark of, that rush of oxytocin, and then that hit of reward from that dopamine. It locks that in, and that turns into different moments. Whenever your ex, he or she said that thing to you that was meant so much, or that moment they went and did that special thing for you that you never had done for you before, and it was just like magical. Or back in the honeymoon phase, right, when everything is all rainbows and gumdrops and wonderful, it starts to lock into all of that stuff and ingrain it in you and stores it so that anytime you want to feel what you want to feel, it taps into those things. So your body literally starts to make your partner, right, your ex now, a drug for you. It's like, something you lean on to actually get these feelings that you want to have. And it's naturally done that way because for means of survival, for all the years, right, that we've been here as humans, it was really beneficial for you to stay close to your attachment figures, what it's called. So if you are locked into your partner or your ex being that source of that, then now it's naturally built for you to want to stay attached to them, because on some level, primal wise, you're going to survive when you have a pack or more people with you, or at least that one person with you to do this life thing with. So with that said, it's really important to understand that whenever you go through that painful breakup, or maybe it's not even that they're walking away from you, maybe you're choosing to leave. Maybe you're getting to the end of your rope and you're like, this relationship's not good for me. I know it now. I'm gonna stop running from my truth, and the best thing for me, even though I want to do this, is to walk away for me and for them, right? But it's the reason why, whether you're on that side of the tracks or you've been left or just been hurt in a really rough way, that your body literally goes through a withdrawal. Because whenever you do sever that connection and that attachment is gone, right, you've created a new memory. Now you have a new painful memory of something you don't want, which is the ending of this relationship you were so invested into and this person that you were so in love with, right? And so that new memory conflicts with the neural pathways that your brain created that was tied to all the positive experiences, the positive emotions, the positive feelings it wants you to have more of. And so whenever you do that, the dopamine and oxytocin levels inside of you drops significantly. And when they drop so heavy, your body goes through withdrawal from not having that feel good chemical balance that it's been used to producing. And so its initial reaction is to tell you or get you to want to go back to or hold on to the attachment figure, the source that allowed you to keep those neural pathways open to have that oxytocin and dopamine so high, right? So literally your body starts working against you out of an attempt to take care of you, right? And your mind, because your subconscious is heavily tethered to your body, right? To your nervous system, it kicks into gear to help your body. It starts flashing all the memories, all the good times in front of your face. It starts giving you all the doubting thoughts of, are you sure this is the right decision? You sure we should be doing this? Or, is you sure there's no other way we can kind of work this out? Sure was just a mistake. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe they just had this one-off thing. It starts giving you all the justifiable reasons to hold on and to not let go. Because its only focus, and I've said this to so many of my clients before, right? Your mind and your body do not care about you thriving. They only care about you surviving. The thriving part is your job, right? Your mind and body's only one sole focus and purpose is to make sure you stay here on this planet and that you can function in a pretty decent way. And just on a basic primal feelings way, an emotions way, If you are more fearful, scared, or hurting or going through pain, it's a good chance you're in danger and you may not be here too long. Just as much as if you feel great and you're happy and you're euphoric more often, there's a good chance you're in a space of harmony, which means you're in a place of ease, which means you're probably good in nature to where you won't be harmed and you'll survive and be fine. So whenever it starts to notice that something that helped you feel that way has been completely severed off, its primary function is to say, hey, go back and get that thing again. Get back to safety. Get back to your comfort space. And then to start to help you lie to yourself or help you, paralyze yourself from taking a step to move away from something that's probably not actually good for you out of an attempt to help take care of you. And going back to our primal wiring of things for a minute, like I was talking about a little bit ago, is humans throughout centuries, we've always done better in pairs, right? We've always stood a better chance of survival in pairs. And so your body, your DNA knows this information. DNA is passed down through generations and generations. And so your DNA gets really good at storing information on the things that's made us most effective to survive. And so whether it's through really harsh times in the world or not as harsh times or more harmonious times, our DNA locks in the most key elements that helped us do that, which is us being pair bonded to someone else because we survived the better with someone else with us, right? That's why we were tribal by nature. And this is where the fear of loss and change starts to kick in mentally for you. So when you're making this tough decision to walk away from this person that you've pair bonded with, or that is walking away from you, or whatever the case is, you can experience an intense feeling of isolation and loss, right? Like something's missing now because your pair bonded figure isn't there. So your brain's designed to give you the right chemical balance and throw the right, thoughts in front of your mind to have you try to go back and get that person, because if you don't, you've lost something really important for survival on a primal level, right? Because again, your DNA feels, hey, when you're with someone else, this is how we survived so great for all these years, all these centuries. So it's required to keep that figure that you've identified and you've had those oxytocin, dopamine levels raised for, because they're clearly good for us and good for our survival. So whenever they're not there, I'm going to give you the right chemical balance so you feel this deep sense of loss, isolation, by yourself alone, right? Which is not what pair bonded is. And so therefore that motivates you to go back and get or keep or hold on to whoever allowed you to have that sense of security in being pair bonded. Now let's talk about the change piece of it, the fear of the change. See, because that biological dynamic of, being pair bonded to someone equates to survival on a primal level, because that's there, whenever we're with someone for a long enough time and we spend enough time locked in and that being our person, we start to, psychologically have a cohesive or a blended sense of self, sense of identity with that person there. And whenever you break that bond and you're not with that person anymore, or you're going to walk away from that person, it causes a little bit of a crisis identity wise, because in some level you identify with being their partner, not just being you anymore. You don't think of yourself as just me. You think, oh, us, right? So whenever you walk away from them or you're breaking away from them, it's almost like losing a piece of yourself, because your identity for so long now has been intertwined with them being in your life. So when letting go of the person you've been with can feel like losing a piece of who you are, like you're losing some of yourself, who would want to do that? You want to hold on to that. So when you've lost that, it creates this deep sense sometimes of uncertainty about your new identity without them in your life. And it can raise some fears of, well, who are you without them there? Since all you've known for so long, for the last 5 years, whatever the case is, 10 or whatever, is who you've been with them in your life. So now it's like the fear of, oh, I have to figure out who I am again with them not there. And that's never a pleasant thing to want to experience. And so it goes into that bucket again of more information that your brain will use to put in front of you to say, hey, you probably should go back. And start making you question if it was really that bad, if it really needed to end and all the things. Now let's talk about the emotional attachment and habits. See, in general, we know it's hard for people to walk away from a painful breakup or step away from someone or heal to move on. But let's not forget the really important dynamic that a lot of people have different attachment styles. And so tough breakups are really difficult on people with anxious attachment styles or even avoidant attachment styles. It's tough for everyone, but for those two in particular, since those attachment styles are heavily weighted, they're not usually balanced well, right? They're weighted heavily in one side or the other. So when you have someone that has an anxious attachment style, this can really create a heightened sense of anxiety, right? And the feeling of a loss and breaking of connection. They really need that, and it's a big struggle because now they can get antsy, don't know what to do, and they're scrambling to find a sense of certainty again and feeling reassured. Just as much as someone that has an avoidant attachment style, they really struggle to process their emotions with it all. And they kind of get bottlenecked there, and it gets frustrating because they don't know what to do, and maybe they start trying to numb the emotions out, or they start doing things that are not as customary to how they typically would operate, out of this like reverse engineered or subconscious way of trying to navigate the feelings they're having, that they have not put the work into being able to regulate those emotions effectively. And if you struggle to process your underlying emotions around something painful, it's going to be a rough ride, and it's going to carry with you, and it's going to come out through you in subconscious ways that are self-sabotaging down the road. Now, how about the last piece too? Just simply put, we're creatures of habit, right? As humans, we like routine because it makes things simplify for us, and it gives us a sense of certainty and reassurance because we know what to expect. We have a control over something. We have a formula down for something. So when you're with someone for so long, they become a part of that formula. They become a part of your daily routine and comfort. So naturally, whenever that huge part of your life is no longer there, there's a huge void now, and it's not comfortable. It feels foreign and uncertain for an unhealthy reason, right? And not reassuring, to where now you got to figure out your routine again and rework that with this big piece that used to be there that mattered a lot, that was very important, not there. It can be detrimental to your system in some ways, and it's a shock to your nervous system that your nervous system has to catch up with. So this is why when you understand all these things, if you're going to get through a painful breakup or walk away from a relationship more confidently in the best way you can, because look, let me say this, there's no easy road out of something like this, right? Because if you cared enough, right, that the yin yang of love is loss. It wouldn't mean as much to you if it didn't mean something to lose it, if it's not there, right? So it's never going to be an easy process, but you can expedite your healing so much more, so much faster, and suffer so much less whenever you're aware of all these things we just talked about, but also are able to then implement the healthier practices with the knowledge of what's going on. So it helps you digest why it's so difficult, which makes it more, doable to believe that you can get through this and focus more on how to, versus not wanting to be in the pain or trying to run from the pain or trying to avoid it or whatever the things people do. So first, you have to acknowledge your emotions, all of them. Do not try to distract yourself. Don't try to go in, just not think about it or whatever. Just focus on the fun stuff. No, acknowledge what you're feeling. Embrace it all. The sadness, maybe the anger, the depression, the whatever it is. Let it breathe. It's okay. You do not have to run from it and avoid it and treat it like it's some horrible, evil thing. No, it's there trying to help you. It's trying to give you information that you need to have. Grieve the relationship. That's your body's way of releasing. Go through your grievance process, because it is grief that you're experiencing whenever you're going through such an emotionally taxing disconnection, right? So treat it as such. Suppressing it only prolongs the pain and intensifies it over time. You got to build new routines, right? Build new habits and new ways of operating that replaces the things you used to do with your ex, right? Hobbies, activities, social connections, right? Start forming new friendships that are not just centered around friends you only have with your ex, to where now you have to think about them all the time whenever you talk to this friend, right? And not saying you should back off of friends that you guys share together, but maybe, you give yourself some distance or some time. And if you need to let that friend know that, let them know, because you're going through a lot and it's hard to see them at the moment because it makes them think of your ex, and it makes you think of your ex until you can heal, right? That's fair. But work on building new connections or doubling down more on connections that maybe you weren't fostering as much because you were in this relationship, right? As well as, start trying new hobbies or things that you have interest in, and maybe outside of something that your ex had interest in as well. Or figure out new ways to do the things that you guys maybe used to do together, but in a way that's just unique to you and then is absent of what their involvement would be in the equation. You have to start creating the new routines of the new you outside of that relationship, so you can start creating newer neural pathways of positivity and pleasantries, right? And things that feels good that it can start to lock into these new memories, so it can start to replace the old necessity checklist it has to try to lean on what you did with your ex in order to have those same neural pathways opened up so you can feel that euphoria and that pleasure and that reward. And when you keep doing that consistently and effectively, what you'll notice is it starts to lessen a lot of that withdrawal feeling that you're getting from your body, because your body's finding new ways to give itself that oxytocin and dopamine hit again, right? So it's not feeling the need to trigger you to go back and get your ex, because it's starting to be able to self-medicate, if you will, and self-regulate. And then so after you get from that space, then you have to also pour into people that are around you, your support systems, whether it be close friends and family members, right? Go to them for nurture, like go to them to, be consoled and so forth, right? Feel that love, get that support. So it starts to help nurture and nurse some of those wounds that you should be focusing on nurturing yourself as well, to where it makes it easier to let go, or it makes it more digestible, more, easier to process, if you will. It's not going to be easy, but it'll at least make it more doable to take the steps that are necessary. And like I always say, if you feel you don't have the most effective, friends and family groups or networks or support systems to rely on, go get professional help. Go to someone that makes it their life to actually be there for you, right? And want to help you get through it with effective tools and things like that, right? It's what I do with coaching, or go to, therapy or counseling, whatever fits to you best. Go do that so you can get that nurture and that helpful outside perspective and clarity to actually work through this, instead of turning to more destructive coping mechanisms. And last but definitely not least, focus more on your self growth, right? Reflect on all the beneficial things you learned about your needs, about your boundaries, and even about your patterns, right? That you can take as building blocks to empower yourself going forward to not wind up in the same situation again. Utilize the past memories of that relationship for what they're really good for, which is information to help you be better, instead of to stew in what was, or to harp on what you feel like you've lost, or to keep living in the past, right? Extract the pieces that are helpful to you and let it build you towards a better future. If you need help at all understanding better what I just explained in this video, and implementing the tools I just suggested towards doing that healing and how to actually execute it in real time, then email or DM me the word coaching, and we'll get to work, as long as you're truly ready to put that work in. If you're not ready for one-on-one coaching, don't have the time or the space, then at least email or DM me the word revival to join my Relationship Revival Hub community, where you can learn the same things I teach my clients one-on-one, at your own pace, on your own time. Either way, do something please to get in the race. Let's get it.